then you'll realize, then you'll be very, very cautious, about the type of information you watch, the type of conversations you get into with people. You'll no longer, entertain any bad, like thought forms or any bad emotions, specifically the emotions. I've noticed, like thought forms, they make appear once or twice, negative thought forms, but the most important are the emotions. Because in one channel session I have, they have said is that, when you feel an emotion deeply, it goes to your, I believe they said, it travels through your chakras, okay, and then it goes through your silver cord, and then it goes through your higher self, and then your higher self is like, okay, so this person wants to feel this type of situation, so it will shift your timeline slowly, okay, like there are multiple possibilities. And in one session they have said that, and other session, I remember this one was recently, they said something about.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up for this special episode of Third Eye Salon. Today, it is just me, Catman. So I am a psychic empath. I'm a psychic wrangler, and I have wrangled no co-host today, but I have an amazing guest that I'm going to introduce in just a moment. I just wanted to remind everybody, if it's your first time here, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good jazz as we're going along, so that way we can stay connected to you. You can stay connected to us, and we can have a greater, stronger, more dynamic community. So getting into all that, getting through all that, I want to let you know that on the show today, we have Sam the Illusionist, all the way from India. Sam, how are you doing tonight? I guess for you it's tonight. For me, it's 7:30 in the morning. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh yeah, it's 8 o'clock in the evening, and it's been a great day. And yeah, it's getting colder day by day. So I hope the same thing is happening over there. Seems like you're wearing a scarf. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's my little moment of jazzing up. It's like we're solid black and have a pop of color and stay on point. So I wanted to ask you, Sam, for those of you who don't know Sam, I'm sure a lot of you do. He's been exploding. To give you a little background on him, he is somebody who came into channeling accidentally. It was not something he was looking for. His website was, or his YouTube channel was Sam the Illusionist. So he was a magician. And I'd just say that things were not going so well for Sam in terms of his life and how he was feeling about being on the planet. And what happened next was there was an intervention in terms of on the galactic or on the soul level. And Sam had another aspect of himself walk in, is my understanding. And so we have kind of like Sam plus plus, it's like the original Sam, but expanded and connected to another aspect of his greater self. But I'll toss the mic over to you, Sam. Would you agree that that is how that is, or what would you just tell us about your awakening? I guess that'd be the best thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how it happened. You have described it on a in a spiritual level how it came about. On if a person were to ask my mother how it happened, she would say that I was making some scary voices, while I was listening to hypnosis tape, and I was sent to the hospital, and I didn't know that I was channeling in the beginning, because I had no idea this stuff called channeling actually existed. I literally had not watched any sessions. Like I was interested only in like magic and hypnosis, and everything I used to watch was regarding those aspects. But one day, during hypnosis session, this thing happened. Like I contacted with, I believe it was my higher self, but I don't have the recording of that because it happened on accidents. And a huge journey. And also from that day on, I started to search how this is happening. And upon searching, I found out that this stuff is actually a spiritual stuff, not a illness. Okay, like many people consider everything like out of the ordinary to be an illness, or something is wrong. I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, he gave me a prescription for psychosis. I remember this. He gave me medicines for psychosis, but I did not take the medicine because I knew this was something else. I was fine at other times, but while I was during the listening to those tapes, like those hypnosis tapes, I used to become like contacted by these beings, and I realized this was something not a problem with me. So of course, like I searched on the internet, and I found out, there are many channelers, like currently. And of course, there is nothing wrong with you. This is what I learned. Okay, there is nothing wrong with you. It's just your spiritual body or spiritual vehicle, trying to explain or trying to help you, to reach to the next level. This is something spiritual, because our planet is now, rapidly ascending higher. I believe, more and more people will experience this in the coming days. More and more people will have the opportunity of contacting, and we can also see that on the internet, right? I mean, there are many channelers. I get contacted by many channelers, on a daily basis. I watch their channeling sometimes, and I see that, this is actually exploding. A lot of people are having the same experience that I had, but I never planned. Like, there are some people who, I don't know, they plan to be a channeler, and some people, they contact me, they say, hey Sam, do you have a course on how you can teach me to channel like you? And I'm like, I did not learn this, like, it happened by accident, so how can I teach you, right? I'm like that, I just reply it back, and they're like, oh, okay, got it, right? So, yeah, of course, this is how it happened. And yeah, it's been like a refreshment for my life as well. Wonderful, amazing experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an intense journey. How long ago did this happen?
It happened approximately 1 year ago, around October that year.
Okay, okay. And it's interesting because culturally, in America, you're in India, and so there's a different cultural and religious context, and how religion impacting the cultural beliefs and all that stuff. And so, but even in the United States, I mean, channeling gets equated to being possessed. And I think I love that you're just showing up and clearing that up, that this was something that was an organic process for you. I wanted to kind of get into the bit of where did you, because you were not, if it's okay to speak about this, you were not a happy young man for quite some time, and you were not in a good place. And from your from watching your channel, my understanding is that this walk-in part of you came through, but your experience of it was like, oh, I'm starting to channel. And you didn't realize that you had a walk-in part of you come through until you channeled that information to yourself. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Before this, I was involved with the third density reality, like many people are, chasing to become successful, to become famous, like, chasing behind girls, partying, going out to party and stuff like that. Like many people do that, right? A normal, I mean, what's considered normal person actually is involved in the 3D reality, wants to do that. Okay. But I did not know that there was this whole level. Okay. You summed it up exactly. Before, at that time, I was not that fulfilled with myself. I felt a lack within me. Okay. But this lack, was a lack of spiritual essence. And I believe this happens to people, sometimes, people who suddenly become rich, and they realize that there is still lack within themselves, right? They become rich, they have attained their success, but still they feel this lack within themselves, and that lack is actually a spiritual lack, and it can only be filled by spirituality. And this is what happened to me. The soul walking came in, and I had some problems, relating to the 3D world. But most of the problems, I realized, were my, mind. All of the things that I had created were created by my mind, and by my mind, by my imagination, by my uncontrolled emotions, by feeling, angry, by reacting to the environment. I was creating all of the problems, and there was no one who was creating that. So I made all of this, right? So in essence, I realized that, and that's walking came in. And since that day, I started to channel. And of course, like, this was a, like, huge awakening for me, because I realized that there is so much more to the world than just, what we are seeing outside. There's so much more than, this reality we can touch. There is, this is nothing, in comparison to what is actually, you know out there. Okay, it's invisible.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I realized. This is like beyond. Some people, may find it hard to believe, but this is true. And I believe, a lot of them will experience this once in the lifetime if they, just take the time to look into their heart and open themselves up to new information, or maybe open themselves up to, try new things. Okay. So that's what it's all about.
You have such a beautiful heart. You have so much compassion for the world. When you connect into your memory of the of becoming of the walk-in experience, do you have a moment that you remember, like, oh, I am the walk-in coming in? Like, can you remember it now, or is it just like, was it more of a gradual change? Like, what is your experience of being a walk-in? Because you got that term from your channeling. It wasn't something that you were expecting. That's also what I love about your. One of the things that I just love when I watch you is that you're always like amazed by the information coming through, and you'll talk about it and you're like, wow. And it just gives this air of authenticity because you're learning from it as well. And it was from your channeling that you learned you were a walk-in and all these, but it's like it resonated with you. You didn't resist it. You took it in. So I'm just wondering what that moment of going, oh, I'm a walk-in and I know that now. What was that like for you?
The day I channeled, and I realized I was walking, and I was like, reflecting back at my experience, right? So remembering my experience in this 3D reality in a human body, and I started to realize that, yeah, all of my all of the activities, all of the thought forms, all of the things that I used to do, they suddenly changed. Like, I'm a totally different person. Okay. Like, my interests are different. I don't like, it's totally different person, like a new person came in, and it happened. I don't know, like, the moment, the switch happened, but I believe it happened during a dream state, because we are not aware, but I can feel the energy. But I can feel, I can still remember, around October, November, that time, I felt this, different kind of energy. I suddenly became, more happier. There was this, emotional burst coming in, and and like something was about to happen. I felt that, right? And then, one day that thing happened, started to happen, that channeling during the hypnosis, session. And since then, gradually I have been changing. This, I realized that it's been a gradual process. It's not like, the soul swap happened, I believe, in a single day, but the soul, to fully enter into my body and to become used to the environment, I think it took some time. Yeah.
And so did you feel for a while there, you were like, I just feel weird. I don't feel bad, but I feel really weird. Like, were you noticing your own experience was so like, I don't like that anymore. I liked it yesterday. I mean, what was that like for you in that transition of becoming the expanded Sam?
Yeah, one day I remember this clearly. Okay. This thing had happened to me, and I was, I clearly remember it was December 29th. Okay. December 29th, I said to my mother, I am receiving information, so I will share it on YouTube. Okay. Okay. I used to do magic, right? My channel had around 15,000 subscribers back in the day when I used to do magic. I used to be the most famous magician in Sikkim. Okay. You can search on the internet. I used to be like a big street magician here. Okay. Because the state is small. And you know what happened? It's, if you have a fan base of, people who watch magic, then will you upload something else? Of course you will not do that, right? Because you will upload the same thing, right, on the same channel. But I did the opposite. I uploaded my channeling session. People thought I was crazy in the beginning, but then I don't know, something happened and it exploded. You know what I mean? And those people who needed the session, they got it. Since then, I remember this, December 29th, one friend had called me for December 31st party, and I was like, I'm not going to go to the party this time. So there was a difference, and that person was also shocked, because I used to always go to the party. So I realized that something has changed within me. I no longer had the need to go out in that, that 3D type of, enjoyment. I was feeling that fulfillment from within, and I was feeling like, really amazing from within. And it's different. You know what I mean? You don't have to depend on something or someone. And I used to hang out with my friends a lot, and nowadays, I don't need to, like, hang out with anyone, because I am feeling good from within myself. And I am doing my soul's purpose, and I am fulfilled in doing that. That's what is driving me nowadays. focus on my soul's, what this soul wants to do. I just let it do it. And yeah, amazing,
It's here's where my mind goes, is that people are going to then say, I want a walk-in experience. You know what I mean? Because we always glamorize other people's experiences. If someone has an NDE, or they have an experience of a near-death experience, or they have an experience of being abducted by extraterrestrials, like there's always this glamour, there's a glamorization of those things. And it's like those things are can be super traumatizing, first and foremost. And sometimes waking up is not pretty. Sometimes it's super painful. It can be a really painful Kundalini awakening. And what I think about you saying all these things is, I'm like, what about slugs like me? What about spiritual slugs like me who are not having, I'm not going to have, I probably won't have a walk-in experience. That's probably not my thing, right? So how do people that are still struggling between 3D and 5D, between new earth and old earth, however you want to phrase that, how do we come to our spiritual awakening just because we can't expect it to look like yours or anybody else's? So what is your words of wisdom for people who are on, the spiritual slug like myself, who's like, waking up year after year a little bit more? What would you advise us?
I would like to state that everyone has their own level of vibration, and things happen to you when you are ready. So I believe you should never give up. You should like keep on doing the work. And even me, I am doing my spiritual work every year. Like you said, I am also learning new things about spirituality. About past lives and stuff. Which is really fascinating, and about how to stay in the heart energy center, and all those exercises they give us. So I'm still learning and applying myself to be my optimal spiritual vibration, right? So I believe that you should never be like frustrated about what you have not received yet, because it is coming. Okay, it is coming, it's on the way. Just don't like don't give up. Okay, like that's what I'm saying. It's on the way. It will come. Okay, it will come for everyone. This is what I know, is that it will come from everyone. Okay, sometimes it may seem harsh. Sometimes it may seem like oh, I'm not having the experience that this person is having, or you are having, or my friend just had a mystical experience. They met an extraterrestrial during astral state and stuff like that. Of course, all of those will happen when you're ready. When that experience is required for your growth. So the only thing is just keep yourself ready. First you got to prepare for it, right? What I think is most people they don't like prepare to you gotta expect something good to happen, right? And when you have that expectation, there's a science also, right, that what you expect happens to you. So yeah, you have to prepare yourself. Firstly prepare yourself by staying as a spiritual being. Ask yourself, how would a spiritual person, like a high vibe spiritual person, spend my day? Okay, then do that, because you are preparing the way for that experience, or for the big breakthrough in spirituality to come to you. And that is what I would like to state here, that you just have to be open and don't give up. Okay, just like it is coming. Okay? I know it is coming because I have felt it myself, and it will come for everyone.
Those of us who are wanting to get on the new earth train, or the new earth plane, plane of existence, and you're practicing meditating on new earth, you're practicing activating your light body, whatever it is, and then something tragic or something unexpected, something really painful happens in your life. What do you say to those people? Because is that, were they doing it wrong and something bad happened, or is this bad thing that happened, is that part of them, of their initiation maybe into new earth or awakening? Does that make sense how I said that?
Yeah, yeah, let me tell you one thing. Okay, right before like this I think this is a wonderful thing that has happened to me. Like my channel has reached like so many people. And right before that, for almost 2 months, I faced this severe challenge. Okay, I faced a severe challenge in my life, and I realized, I was facing a mental breakdown also. Like I was sent to the hospital and stuff like that. And most people will think, those are also negative stuff, right? Becoming sick and not becoming fit is also considered like really like negative, right? Because your health is a primary thing, right? And what I noticed is that it was a part of the process of leading me to this place. So even the negative, even the negative things that happen to you is leading you to where you are going, because that will open yourself up to something. Okay, that will open your energy center, or maybe it will open a new type of thought form or a new perspective of looking at the world. And that will be the one that will open the gateway, open the floodgates of the spiritual abundance, or material abundance, or health, or whatever on the spiritual plane you want, or entering into the new earth, right? You have to go through that period. I have noticed this. And I believe it's because normally we think negatively, right? Our mind is programmed, our egoic mind is programmed in such a manner that even just a hint of negativity, even just a hint like something negative would happen in the future, your mind will constantly be like thinking and creating images of what if this happens, what if this goes wrong. So we are programmed negatively in our mind is programmed in a negative way. And I've also noticed this, like why doesn't the mind say, what if something positive happens? Just ask yourself this, has your egoic mind ever said, you know wow, look, tomorrow it's going to be really amazing? It's very rare. It's going to be thinking about the negative. And humans we have been programmed, like our mind has been programmed since we were small. It's subconscious, and we got to change that. But it would take a large amount of effort to do that. And I noticed, like you said, before the big breakthrough comes, there will be like one or two new things which will pop up, because it's all I believe the negative things that you have planted in your subconscious, they are coming out before the good things. And the same thing I believe is happening to our planet Earth. Many people may consider the things that are happening to be negative right now, but it is actually given many people the opportunity to be spiritual, many people the opportunity to forgive someone when they cannot forgive them, right? It has opened the pathway, opened the gates to the new earth. You can when you reach to that point, okay, you will say, oh, this bad thing actually was a good thing. I did not know at that point, but it is actually a good thing. It helped me to reach here, and I'm so thankful that thing happened. You will say that. I'm telling you, I say that. I say it to myself, that I had to go through that experience, of being called mentally unstable and stuff like that in the beginning, and facing that experience. And I look at that, and I'm like, wow, that experience has led me to this point. So I am really thankful for that experience. When you reach to your goal, okay, you will be thankful, I'm telling you. So yeah, there is actually no negative. I believe that all the things are leading you. There is no negative events, if you can look at it that way. There is no negative. If something bad happens to you, it's not a negative event. You have to learn something. There has to be something you need to learn. Either you need to learn forgiveness, or either you need to learn to stay with the creator, be present. You have to learn it, okay? And then when you learn it, the problem vanishes, right? It was there to teach you a lesson, to prepare you to that next level.
Yeah, I'm just like deeply processing what you're saying right now. I think that is very wise. And I think that the challenge is when you're experiencing the negative, it feels negative because it's maybe hitting you in your most vulnerable places. It's challenging you in your weakest spot. It's calling something out of you, or it's breaking down an illusion, like whatever it is, like that initiation moment, that point of just being defeated somehow, is for the purpose of regenesis, or a phoenix moment. And I think there's a transition point between reeling in the emotions, the human emotions of like, oh my God, this happened, what happened, and processing and feeling, and making the graduation point of being like, okay, but I'm still with God still loves me. I'm still loved, and working through the dissonance of this horrible thing happened, and yet I'm still safe, or I'm still loved. I'm still connected to God, and the point of that break into that integrated understanding of whatever you weren't living before is the whole point of that. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, you're on point. It's just like you have to notice that it is just there as it's a stepping stone. You have to cross over, and you just need to be strong for that short amount of time. Okay, and then the rest of the experience will be magical. I have noticed that as well. Many people, they face like struggle, not for a long time but for a short time, but the rest, if they are able to overcome or to learn the lessons, the rest of the experience will be magical. They will uh, achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. Yeah.
That's good. It's very heartening. It feels great to hear that. Because I want people to feel that no matter if you're going through the dark night of the soul right now, that you're going through it. You're going through it. You're not setting up a tent. You're not building a condo. Like you're going to keep going through it till the dawn comes. So I wanted to ask you then, because you seem now to me, you feel very psychic. You feel like it feels like you are able to pick up information very easily and just kind of respond to it. What's your experience of your psychic abilities opening or expanding from this?
Yeah. Yeah, you also caught that point, right? I have recently noticed that I was able to look at a person's face or the vibration, and I could immediately find out if this person, what kind of situation this person has in its life. Like just by looking at the person's vibration, and many times the moods, right? Because I've noticed that the people who are really successful and really have everything going good, their mood is different. I don't know if you have noticed this, but their mood is different. They forgive people easily, and there are other type of people who don't forgive, who are very greedy and stuff, and you can see their mood. Okay, and that is why they are like that. The mood, and you can sense the vibration, that type of vibration. I have been feeling that lately, but it's not that accurate. I need to refine it a bit, and then one day it will be perfect. So it's like telepathic communication in a way. It's starting, but not that accurate. I believe in the future it will happen in a more accurate level. Yeah.
Do you feel like when you are connecting with somebody that you're getting like emotional, it's like impressions, like you're seeing their face, you're connecting with them, and you start to just know certain things? It may not be a full download, but you get accurate impressions about who they are, where they're at, and it's becomes apparent to you just by connecting. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate.
Yeah.
Exactly. That beginning to happen. I believe you are also experiencing the same thing. I don't know. Maybe you are going through the same.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole other story. Yeah, I am empathic, and so I do sense people's energies, and but I'm thing with empaths is that you also have to learn boundaries, because sometimes you can be projecting your emotions onto somebody and thinking that they're that person's emotions, but they're your emotions. And so with like every good empath, I have to learn better boundaries, so I am able to discern better what's mine and what's not mine.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. That's the skill, right?
Oh God,
To be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that you're more of an empath now as well, or were you always empathic?
The empathic. I noticed that I was always empathic. Since I noticed that maybe it was my that spiritual baseline of, I don't know, nature or something like that. I always was empathic. I used to really feel bad when someone else was feeling bad, even though it was not my situation. And of course, I have noticed that in my life, since the beginning of my life in this planet, I noticed that, I was very empathetic, not only towards animals. If someone was doing bad things to animals, I used to be really like, not like really, like I did not want that to happen. And when someone was doing something bad, I used to really like feel bad, even though it was not happening to me. I wanted to fix that situation for the person. So yeah, that was my way, and it has become even greater right now. It has amplified. Right now it is amplified, it is magnified. Before it was, I believe, hidden. Now it's like amplified in magnitudes, like it's different.
Are you finding that you have to have new and better boundaries, or do you find that with the amplification, you have an understanding of boundaries with the expansion of your empathy? Are they expanding together, or are you having to learn new boundaries?
I had to set up my boundaries in the beginning. Firstly, how I did was, whenever some people is talking about their negative stuff, if two people are talking about negative stuff, and I'm just like, sitting here doing my own thing, and that thing comes to me, what I try to do is just immediately like leave the situation, because I don't want to like, involve in the energy, okay, that person is giving, because once it enters my mind, I cannot just let it go. I feel like really I want to help this person, okay, like, so what I do is I don't watch the news. This is also one of the reasons I don't watch the news, because every day there are some traumatic events happening. I don't want those to like energies to affect me. It's like very, very, I have to set up boundaries in that manner. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's good. And so you kind of notice that the energy is coming at you, you're aware of it, and you excuse yourself from the situation. Have you found that you also have had to say no to, well, I guess you have said that, like you're saying no to parties, you're saying no to things that before you would have said yes to make other people happy, and you're like, no, I'm just not doing that. So it sounds like some of the boundaries came in with a personality change, you know?
Yes, right. Many changes. I said no to many things. I say no to many things now, like if it doesn't, vibrate, if my, heart doesn't feel right, it's like in a feeling, okay, like I don't think logically, okay, like, because you and I, we're empathic, right? We think, there is a baseline or a vibration you have, and whatever comes to you, and if it matches, it comes, right? If it doesn't match, you're like, oh, I don't feel good. I don't feel good within myself, so I'm going to excuse myself from this situation, right? Because it's a guidance system. You begin to develop, you progress, and this is really helpful for us, who are empathetic. Yeah.
Do you find that during regular conversations during the day or in however it shows up, that you just start to channel randomly, it just starts to come through and you're like, oh, that was channeled and I didn't even realize I was doing it? Does that happen for you?
That like channeling, like uh, mainly, the type of channeling I do, it happens during trance state. So I believe this thing happens with people who do channeling from a conscious state, right? Because there are two types of channeling. One is where you are semi-conscious, and one is where you're like gone, right? Like in a trance state, right? So I'm doing this one. So when I'm awake, I'm so thankful, it doesn't interfere. So otherwise, I would be like, it would be really scary, like if I was to channel while I was talking. So yeah. uh, what?
Well, the reason I say that is because when you channel, your voice does change. It goes down here, and there's a certain cadence you have with your voice. And when you did the 11:11 meditation, which I did that with you, um, even when you were doing the meditation, your voice flipped into a channeling voice. And I will
Yeah.
just notice, even in conversation, talking with me, like every now and again, your voice will be down, and it'll do just for a moment. And I'm just wondering, like, because we're always connected to our guides, even
Yes.
if we're having issues. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if maybe that shows up for you, but maybe you haven't experienced it that way yet.
Sometimes, yeah, you're right. If that is the type of thing you're saying, then it happens to me, because sometimes, someone ask me something which I have never thought about before, and then it comes from within, like it was channeled. Like, yeah, sometimes, stuff like that can happen. Yeah, I believe that. Sometimes, yeah, this kind of stuff, a little bit of hints, Yeah, they come through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we always have that faucet over our heads, and how much the faucet's turned on or turned off. But you can have it, turned on a little bit naturally, because we're naturally connected to the oneness, even when we're in our regular day-to-day mind state. Let's talk about channeling then, and let's talk about the beings that come through, because I know that you channel from the Galactic Federation, and yet there are many Galactic Federations. As far as I know, I feel like it's like there's just so many committees that are working and proactively engaged in what's going on this crazy planet, and that there are people from other Galactic Federations that are crossed over. Like, they're not just like they're really working in concert. What has been your experience of meeting the Galactic Federation, and who is in the Galactic Federation that you channel?
Yeah, as far as I have noticed that the Galactic Federation, there are many members from different civilizations and from different planetary systems. Okay, so there are, I believe, the most prominent ones are the 9 members of the Galactic Federation, specifically the Andromeda Council, and then there are the Ra Collective. Then there are other beings. I have a channeled session. It is in detail. Okay, I had channeled it long time back, so it is on the channel. But I need to refer to that. They have described it. In detail. How many like civilizations are a part of the Galactic Federation, and actually, it's like in a simple layman's term, it's actually taking one droplet of water and then taking another droplet and then combining it and making it into a bigger droplet. So that is what is happening. So they are taking consciousness, like they are taking consciousness and merging it together. So it becomes a social memory complex. This is what they say. So it becomes a bigger community of consciousness connected. And I believe in the Galactic Federation, they have the best, or the souls who have already achieved the highest level of enlightenment, or the level of vibration required to be a member of the Galactic Federation, because they are at the 7th density, higher than many other beings. So they need a high level entity to be a part of that. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
Okay, let's talk about the social memory complex, because that's a term from the Law of One, Ra, and from their perspective, the perspective of the collective of Ra, we are one organism. They're seeing us as multiple facets of the one organism. And are you saying with the Galactic Federation that they are seeking to merge their social memory complex with ours, or they're merging their individual social memory complexes with each other to create a more unified field? Am I following you correctly?
Actually, what I know is that since they are at the 7th density, they have already merged together. The merger of the social memory complex happens at the level of 4th density. So I believe I believe the Galactic Federation, they are uh, like they were created for the purpose of looking after our civilization. So I believe they voluntarily decided to come together in order to work for the betterment of the positive side, right? Because I believe there is a negative social memory complex as well. Of course, there is, and so they are in the positive. So they want to help those planets without infringing on their free will to raise the vibration. So we are not on that level. So it is actually not them who are trying to be a part of us, but it is actually we who are trying to get to their level, because we are still not that high level, and we are ascending is a process of actually going higher and higher in our own consciousness to become ultimately with the one creator, right? So that's what we are doing slowly and slowly. The planetary consciousness is moving towards the positive, what they call the 4th density vibration. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's happening.
I think people can attach a lot of meanings onto what looks glamorous, like, oh, I'm too high vibe for that, or I'm, you know what I mean? There's a thing of like, if you want to be high vibe, you really have to be willing to go through your stuff. And it's not, something isn't, ascension isn't happening passively. Like, you're going to be ascending because you're leaning into it, because you can also resist it or hide from your stuff, or, you know, delude yourself about like what's going on in your life, so that way you can ignore it, but and try to stay high vibe because you're ignoring the bad stuff. But that's not it either. Like, you if you want to go through the ascension process, would you say, I'll put this out there for you, would you say that going through the ascension process can mean turbulence and shakeups?
I believe there are two possibilities. Like sometimes the ascension process begins when you face a traumatic situation, and then you find that your life is not being controlled, right? And then you seek for an answer. And it began from a turbulent situation, and now you are entering into the ascension pathway. So that is one way, and the other way is, many of people, I believe, nowadays they are choosing ascension even when they are younger, because their soul is ready. They don't have, like necessarily go through a mental breakdown or a psychological breakdown in order to turn towards ascension, but because right now the vibrations are high, and there is a certain resonance you feel from your soul when you hear such information, and that resonance, it is like something else. Okay, like no mathematics teacher, no science teacher, nothing logical will like fulfill this void of the spiritual essence. It's beyond the analytical mind, and it resonates at your soul's level. And yeah, there are two pathways. Like either you can enter into ascension like by facing challenges, and then you want to discover why it happened and how you created it. Okay, I believe that all of the things are created by us, either by mismanagement, sorry, mismanagement of our energies, or either mismanagement of our emotions. And if you look at your own life, okay, you created all the problems, but you don't know this. You are the creator, and facing that is one of the greatest revelations for all of us, to realize that what is happening in my life, I made it. I created this by entertaining a negative thought, by entertaining fear. When people entertain fear, anger, and stuff, we already know what happens. They begin to develop disease, right? They begin to develop like bad things happening to them, because their vibration, they're entertaining that vibration, right? And then when you do the just opposite, even when the negative stuff is coming in, you don't change your vibration, you stay in a higher vibration of positive outlook. You maintain that energy of positivity, then that problem transmutes into a solution immediately, right? And that's how I believe we should look at, from my perspective. Of course, people should use their own perspective, it's different for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that is accurate in terms of learning that we are the creators of what we're experiencing. Sometimes it is, you first have to realize that we are all creating from these negative programs that we learned growing up. And so it's like in the first level of awakening, yeah, you are a victim because you didn't actively ask to be programmed with horrible negative things that were going to hurt you. Like your soul wasn't, you weren't consciously looking for it, but your soul came in for these experiences. So like on one level, yes, you were fed all of these things, but then once you realize that you're projecting them out now, they were given to you, but you're holding on to them, you believe that they're true, and now you're creating from that sphere of misunderstanding and misalignment with love, then that's where it starts to shift, and you start to realize that you have to take ownership, and that you can't keep playing the victim card if you want to spiritually expand. You can't stay in the victim mentality and become sovereign. You can't wait for someone to save you and own your power. Like you've really got to choose to embody it regardless of the challenges and old belief patterns, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that is so true. The more we stay, the moment you realize that we created this, in that moment we can choose to rise above that victim mindset which you were talking about, and then enter into new state of consciousness, right? And then slowly, your vibration will change, slowly your reality will reflect that. And then you'll realize, then you'll be very, very cautious about the type of information you watch, the type of conversations you get into with people. You will no longer entertain any bad like thought forms or any bad emotions, specifically the emotions. I've noticed like thought forms, they make appear once or twice, negative thought forms, but the most important are the emotions. Because in one channel session I have, they have said is that when you feel an emotion deeply, it goes to your, I believe they said, it travels through your chakras, okay, and then it goes through your silver cord, and then it goes through your higher self, and then your higher self is like, okay, so this person wants to feel this type of situation, so it will shift your timeline slowly, okay, like there are multiple possibilities. And in one session they have said that, and other session, I remember this one was recently, they said something about the soul clothes, right? The clothes for the soul, the clothes for the soul.
Okay.
We have clothes for our body, right? They said our chakras, our three primary chakras, the red ray, there is the, this is yellow, right? Orange, sorry, orange, and then yellow. So these three chakras, whatever emotions we are harboring over here, they in our reality, either you are holding positive soul clothes like positive emotions, or you're holding on to negative emotions. So those are how these soul clothes operate. So yeah, very, very important stuff.
I love, let's talk about timelines. That's exciting. So what I'm hearing, I'm gonna repeat kind of back to you what I'm hearing you say to make sure that we're vibing on the same info. So you've got your root chakra, which is your base chakra. You've got your sex chakra, your water chakra, and then you've got your solar plexus chakra, which is the gold. So you've got red, orange, gold, or yellow. And so you're saying that any emotional trauma that's in there, it's like there's a life energy coming up through my being, through all of us. It's connecting to our higher self, and whatever is or is not resolved shifts us. It's like a compass. The more we clean and clear our emotional trauma, the more our compass shifts, and we shift to a different timeline, shift to another timeline, because our internal compass or our internal mechanism has been cleaned. As it's cleaning, our direction goes more direct to our best possible outcome. Does that resonate?
Yeah, exactly. That's what they said in that session. And from my experience also, I can tell you the same thing, okay? Like, you can meet a person, try to meet, try it as an experiment, just meet your friend or your family, whenever you have reunion or stuff like that. Meet with a positive emotion, okay? Just be conscious, of the type of, clothes you're wearing over your chakras, and breathe deeply, because most people, they breathe half and they constrict these lower centers, they're constricting the lower centers without knowing it, okay? And then it causes discomfort, it leads to emotional imbalance, it creates different emotions and fear and stuff like that. See the difference, okay? Like when you're approaching, see the reactions are different than when you're approaching with a negative energy. Yeah.
So you're saying it's not just clearing stuff out of there, but you're saying just to choose a better emotion. Like, don't choose your default emotion. If your default emotion is, oh, this person gets on my nerves, choose a different emotion, choose a different perspective, and start to relate from an actively better, more positive disposition.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Choose a better emotion instead. If you feel anger, just you'll feel it for some time, but let it go. You need to, of course you'll feel it, for some time. It's automatic. But then the choice is that how long will you be angry for, like 10 years? or will you just let it go in like, okay, so I need to choose a different emotion like peace or happiness or whatever, and then it will align you to that. So that's what I learned from those experiences.
Yeah, that's really great insight. So let's talk about timelines and what your people say about timelines. Because I know that you've channeled like Metatron, which was really surprising. You channeled Ra, you've channeled like Archangel Michael, you've channeled Pleiadian, you've channeled Arcturian. So it's you kind of really have like an open door cafe to these higher beings where they get to come through and you're just a conduit. Um, where was I going to go with that? Oh, timelines. What do they say about how timelines work? Who talks to you about timelines, and what's their general um, teach? What's their general teach about how timelines work?
Yeah, as far as timelines, I have channeled once about how we can change our timelines, right? And they have basically said, even I think it was the last session about astral projection. They have said,
So you're saying how timelines, you were relating timelines to astral travel.
yeah, what they said was like where we astral travel mostly, that timeline will meet us in our future. So this is what they said in the last session. And astral traveling, I believe it's the same as when you are sleeping and you're in a dream state, you're in another planet, you feel it to be real, you can touch everything in your dream, you can interact, you can feel the emotions. If someone is attacking you, you feel scared, you feel angry, all of the stuff you feel, right, in a dream state. So I believe that's also an example of astral travel. We can also consciously astral travel during meditations, or even when we are going to our sleep, we can astral travel, right? And then we can consciously choose which timelines we want to enter into. So yeah, if you were to desire something, or if you want to enter into a different timeline, you have to firstly astral travel and be in that timeline during your sleep state, or maybe during your meditations, and eventually it will like align itself, like boom. That's what they are saying.
And I'm thinking about how, there's so much upheaval going on in the world right now. There's, financial collapse on the horizon, at least in America. There's a lot of, people turning against each other, a lot of turmoil, a lot of conflict. And yet, on another level, there is this rebirth happening, and people like you who are waking up, and like all of us, I mean, who are waking up, whether it looks like having a walk-in experience or an NDE or however it might look, we're having a wake-up experience that doesn't correlate or look like the trauma and fear that other people are going through while they're holding onto a system that is collapsing. And so I say this because I feel like when we talk about positive timelines or the best timeline, that's for you, and it doesn't mean that the things around you are going to stop happening. That suddenly things are going to go back to the way they were, because that's not what this is about. This is about optimization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, I think like even your outside world can change, like I have like felt it myself, like while trying this stuff, even the outside situations, they can change, yeah, but I think what you're saying is the collective situation, right? With the collective, yeah. For that, I believe a lot of people need to collectively do it, because it's a collective problem, not a personal one. So if that if a lot of people collectively were to choose a different timeline, were to astral travel to a different timeline, and we had enough energy, enough people to do that, then it will change. We just need a large number of people doing it. So yeah, that's, I believe, how we can change.
I love that vision. I had never thought of it that way. where if we all collectively choose this and we're all doing it individually but collectively, and because astral travel is real, you do meet people out of their body. It's just it's more real than here in a lot of ways for a lot of people, because the limitations aren't there. And to be able to do that collectively, if I was standing next to you astrally and we buddied up and we went to the most optimal timeline, and then we came back into the waking world, we would be bringing that frequency into our physical body, thus really sort of shifting it in a for that collective that wants to do that. We're doing it for each other and for ourselves. Is this what you're seeing?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. For the collective to change, we need to do it in a collective manner. For the personal things to change, one person is enough. Whoever is experiencing. But for the collective, what you're saying is the collective, because the world is a collection of different beings, right? They are trying their own thing, and there is free will. Of course, we cannot influence other person's free will. Even in the astral state, there are certain rules. We cannot influence them because it is their choice what they want to experience. So if there are many people who with their free will decide to enter into a certain state or enter into a certain like timeline, then like if they do it like regularly, or if they do it more often, then the collective will seem to shift in a manner. And the meditation you're talking about, in which we did the new earth thing, that was an example of collectively entering into a timeline. So at that time, I believe there were a lot of people who were collectively doing it. So it made some change in planet. Yeah. So if we were to do it like, like really, like, if there were people who are interested in doing it like on a daily basis, it will be like changes will happen. Okay. Like there is some research done by some scientists as well, that whenever there are meditations and stuff like that, there energy changes of the city, or the energy changes of the environment. And I believe you notice that whenever you travel to another city, there's a type of energy that's coming out, the vibration. You can sense it in a way, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing.
And I would also say that, because I'll just share, I won't share the details of my personal current situation. I'll be talking about that in a completely different podcast. But I was doing New Earth meditation, and I still had something occur to me that occur in my life that was very traumatic and very devastating, personally, emotionally. And it was like, well, it's like, this is not New Earth. I was like, this thing I'm going through is because it's triggering some of my most deepest core issues, and it's like, well, lo and behold, that's the point of it, right? But this is happening after I've been doing all this New Earth stuff, and it's like focusing on these higher vibrations doesn't guarantee lollipops and candy canes and rainbows. Like I just want to put that out there. My personal experience is that, I felt like these activations that have been going on for me are bringing up my deepest shadows and some of my deepest wounds. And on a level, I guess I absolutely know that is there for my transformation. It still is unpleasant in ways that, I can't even describe. So, so I just want to put it out there that like it's like doing your New Earth stuff. It's like doing your Kundalini work. It's like any of that stuff. It brings things up, and it might feel really good at moments. Other moments might be really, really challenging, but that is part of the initiation of living it. Like you can't anchor New Earth if you have these old gunky belief systems and emotional patterns that just have been clinging and clinging and clinging. If you had to take a hard knock all the way across the block, to the next town to get it, then that's what's going to happen, if that's going to serve your ascension path. But it's just not lollipops and rainbows and gumdrops. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's very true. But I think that only happens until you have stabilized in the new energy. The moment stabilized in the new energy, and you're no longer going back to that old energy, okay? Because everything is about energy, I feel. then it's all rainbows and lollipops, because you have transcended.
I don't know, Sam. I don't know. I have a hard time buying that one because I think we're still going to be challenged. Like, yeah, I know some really lovely, gorgeous people that they're like Revned. Revned is a gentleman we've had on the show. He's just such a sweetheart, and he has had an NDE. I mean, he can see spirits. He has all these amazing encounters with gnomes and archangels and Pleiadians and all these things. And like he went through having uh, a bypass, or it was a stroke. It was a stroke this summer, and then he had recently had like more had to have a stent put in. He had to deal with like then getting COVID because he went to the hospital. So then he got COVID because he had to go to the hospital. And that's where he contracted COVID. Imagine that. And and he's just like the sweetest, warmest thing. And if anybody's living on the other side like he does, because he can just see all that stuff. And it's like he still has to face these personal things and be like, it's part of this story. Is he like crying and moaning like I would probably be doing? No, but like he still has to face this being in a body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I don't know, like I need to watch that video, but I definitely believe like even I have like seen, and I have also like noticed that once you're able to stay, I mean, it depends, like you can change a situation if it's bad for you, by just like firstly like facing it, but with a different type of outlook, with a different type of outlook, like I think sometimes your subconscious mind, you may have belief systems like uh, which may be the reason why it is happening. So many of those are belief systems from younger days or stuff like that. Like some people, their mother used to say, sometimes there may be people who say that evil people are the ones who are wealthy, evil people are the ones who are happy. If that is what they have been programmed with subconsciously when they were younger, so of course that will come out. So I think some of it is with the belief system, and you need to go to that level. And I don't know, like, watch the interview to kind of get the energy and the kind of vibration of what you're talking about. But I definitely believe 100% that if you are staying in the positive vibration, only good things will happen to you. But but your old problems, or old the unsolved things, they will come up because they need to be solved, and you will be able to solve it if you are able to have this energy shift. And like even if something bad happens to you, when you are in the high level of energy, and when you are in that energy of the heart, you don't feel that level of like emptiness or sadness or that trauma, and you realize that if you feel that, it's taking you, even it's worsening the situation, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, this is something to be researched upon.
Well, it's interesting because it makes me think of the story of this, the farmer who bad and good things happen to him over and over again. He, his cow dies, and his neighbors rush to him and say, "Oh my gosh, your cow died. That's so horrible. We feel so bad for you." He's like, "It's not good or bad. The cow died." And then the next thing that happens is really fortuitous, that was unexpected. "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing in the world. This happened to you. You're so blessed." And he's like, "It's not good or bad. It's a thing that happened." And so it's that whole lesson of things have the meaning that we attach to them. And if we're suffering under the meaning of our perception. And I'm kind of schooling myself right now with all the things that I've been transitioning through. But yeah, I guess that is the key element, is our attachment to the story of our perception.
Yeah, just like, for example, okay, I'll give you an example. um, I had to leave my career as a street magician, and to do this, right? So I cannot do that right now, okay, because I don't have the time. So you in essence, you need to either someone will fire you from your old job, or you will get out of that old job in order to get to the new place, right? So it's not it's not bad, you know what I mean? In the long run, you'll be like, I'm very thankful, that that person fired me because I got this, the job that I wanted, right? Yeah. So it depends on where you're at. In the long term, I believe if you are positive, you will reach that timeline. Because sometimes, yeah, you will reach the timeline. Okay, many times, I have also experienced this. It happens. Whatever astral project, or whatever you imagine, or whatever feel deeply, you will reach that place. But many times, you will have to go through this upside down situation. But it was required for you to reach to that place. So yeah, that's what I have definitely learned. So there is nothing bad in my like thinking, that even the bad is leading you to where you are, where you have astral projected. So this is what one thing, people, they get disheartened and they change. If something bad happens, they change their energy. Okay, they are changing their energy. And now what happened? Look, you were fired from the job, because you had done the energy work for better job, right? And now what you do, you're changing your energy. So the universe is like confused, like, what does this person want, like. So if you had kept the energy, kept the same, did the same thing, you will be approached, or you will get something, a wonderful, better thing that would be more suited for you. I definitely feel that.
That is so wise. That is very wise. It's your consistency. If you're consistent, then the universe can be consistent. And even if something
Exactly.
throws you off your track, it's still a challenge for you to then have greater consistency. It might be like,
Yeah.
is this going to destroy you? Is this going to wreck you? Is this going to be a big bump in the road? It will be a small, like, and again, our attachment to what we're experiencing determines how quickly or how slowly we go through it. But we do have to go through it. We can't bypass it. You can't jump over it. You can't avoid it. You can't hide from it. You do have to go through it. Then what would they say about, the Earth changes on the planet? Have they spoken to that, like polar shift, or how the planet is physically undergoing changes in her ascension? What I assume is her ascension process, and that's what's causing that.
Yeah, I had channeled about the pole shift, maybe like a few months back. And from that information, I believe the poles are shifting like slowly. They are like shifting, but the total reversal will not happen. That's what I believe this in the session. Because it's something, they are trying to prevent it from happening. Because if it happens, the atmosphere, or the magnetic shield, that's what they said, will be not there, so asteroids could come in easily and stuff like that. So yeah, this is what they said in the session about that thing. And yeah, and a lot of people, they ask me about the 3 days of darkness thing, which, yeah, they have said, Archangel Michael said in the session, we don't have to worry about that, because it will not happen in this timeline, since we are in the positive. Okay, it happen. Yeah.
So there's certain things. Wow. So then it's so fascinating. Do you perceive that in these timelines, as they shift, let's just, because I feel like there has to be, would you say there are multiple timelines, or there's two timelines? There's the Ascension timeline and the non-Ascension timeline.
Timelines, I believe there are multiple timelines. There are numerous possibilities depending on, the vibration of our collective human society. Because they don't look at us as individuals, they collectively scan our vibration. And Earth is transitioning because most of us, we have chosen to be of service to others and stay in the positive pathway. That's what they are saying. Right.
Well, there's, you would talk about on your channel like the 144,000 and whatnot, and I think there's, the percentage of people who are awake or who are spiritually aligned to the whole new Earth experience is very, very small in numbers, and compared to the rest of the planet, which isn't, that isn't focused on that at all. And so would you say that the people who are saying, I'm choosing new earth, I'm choosing ascension, I'm choosing to wake up, whether they have those terms or not, but they're experiencing it, that is the ascension timeline, and people who aren't then are going to, do they go to a different earth? Is it the same planet but we don't see each other? How does the whole like timeline, we're on different timelines but we're on the same planet, work? Or is it different planets? Just more of those details that you understand.
As far as I have learned is that, look, okay, like if you compare currently our human collective, if you compare it to like maybe 200 years ago, there used to be a large amount of wars, people killing each other and stuff. But currently we don't see that much happening, right? But still there are like psychological manipulation going on. But it only requires like 50%. I believe this is what they have said, 50% service to others. So even if the person is unconscious, but because of the society's norms and stuff, the person is 50% service to others. Okay, like, and the 50% it is service to self. So that person will be eligible to enter into the new earth, even if the person is not, even if the person is totally asleep, but his actions or his vibrations, or he is choosing service to others even in an unconscious manner. Okay, so yeah, he will enter into the new earth, and of course, yeah, if you choose, then that you will have a higher chance of reaching even higher vibrations of the new earth.
That is wild. I've never heard that before. So you'll have to give me that video link and I can pop it up there so people can listen to that video, where it is literally a much bigger majority of people that get to go to that vibration, I don't say get to, that have chosen to go to that higher vibration, and those who have not, it's more of a 50, it's not a 50-50 split of the population, but it's like the people who are aligned to service to others, like by 51%, then they've tipped it in their balance. Is that correct?
That is what is happening. I believe it's around 60%. The last time I channeled was, even like unconsciously, more people are becoming more compassionate, and you can even notice it with people. They are starting to be passionate towards others. They're starting to help other people. That you can see it in the world right now. It's, I mean, even if they're unconscious, even if they don't believe in any of the spiritual stuff, which we believe in, which we love and enjoy, and which we nourish every day, even though they may be unconscious, but they are still ready. Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's not like 500 years ago when they're killing people and stuff.
Well,
Murdering
I
their.
mean, there's a lots of murder and people killing and wars going on the planet right now. I mean, for sure. I mean, I think wherever America has a footprint, people are being oppressed for their natural resources. That's what I perceive. So, in terms of how the ascension plays out and how we experience it, my understanding and my belief, but I'm not too attached to it. My understanding and belief is that there's going to be a light wave that's like the Christ consciousness. It's a literal wave of light that hits the planet, and it's sort of a precursor. It's kind of like an ascension accelerator wave of Christ consciousness light, which does a huge thing to help this process. The people who aren't like aligned to it, it's going to be really hard for them. But those who are, it's going to be still hard for them. It's still going to be hard for them because it's a different wave of consciousness. But those of us who've done the work, or who are doing the work right now, will be able to facilitate that for the people who are maybe having a harder time. Does this story sound familiar? Have you heard about this, or what is your understanding?
Yeah, exactly. Right now, as per my latest session, they have said that they are sending some light codes towards the planet to assist us to activate our dormant genes, like light genes, light code genes, which will slowly, change our body, slowly change our mind, and change our vibration. And I believe, the people, like There may be people, like who are, still unconscious. Okay, there may be people who are still not, who are not into the spiritual stuff, but their vibrations may be of a higher level. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be that, the person needs to be watching spiritual content, that to be eligible. Okay, what they said is just to have that vibration. And there may be people who are at that vibration or even higher already, and they don't watch spiritual content, and that could be possible. Okay, that's what I'm saying, that you don't need to specifically be, like following spiritual contents to be eligible.
Right.
Just, yeah, just your vibrations need to be at that level to be eligible to receive it. That's what they have said. Exactly.
So you're saying, and I think we're talking about two different things. It may be the same thing. I'm not 100% sure, because I try not to get attached to how it's all going to look, even though I'm absolutely fascinated by it. And I did watch your last video as well, where you talked about the photons. I believe it's photon light codes, or photons, or whatever the fadoodle it is. They're sending down to assist us. And it started December 21st, and it's going to January 30 or 21st, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And it's, go ahead. You speak on that.
Yeah, I think it's for 2 lunar cycles. That's what they said.
Oh, 2 lunar cycles.
Yeah, I need to watch it to confirm. Because I forgot what they said.
Right. And I mean, that, which is another great testimony, is that, like, it's stuff that you channel. It's not in your own consciousness, and you have to go back and.
I don't remember, most of it. When I wake up, I don't remember any of it actually. Like, what they said. Like sometimes it gets very complicated. Even for my conscious mind to understand. Like it's like, and it's coming in like like very high rate. The information, it's like, wow, right? Sometimes I have to write it down, what they are saying, in order to explain in for my videos. It's like deep level sometimes.
Yeah, it's which was another thing that really drew me in, is because you'd be taking notes, and you would be you share notes of what you're talking about, and you can see visually that you're processing it mentally while you're talking about it. And to me, that's such a strong indicator that you are clear. It's coming through you. You're learning from it. It's not something that you're coming up with, because it is complex information, and your guides will say, or I don't want to call them the guides, the Galactic Federation will like dispel a lot of myths, and they'll talk a lot of background story, which is completely neutral. Like when they talked about Mark Zuckerberg and where his soul had come from and what his soul had been involved in, completely neutral in their telling of like what we would call negative alignments and negative affiliations, or service to self. Yeah. And it's this complex information that you couldn't make it up. You know what I mean? It's too, and also the other thing is that you never knew about Pleiadians. You never knew about any of this stuff. The only reason you found out about any of this is because it came through your channeling. You had never heard of the word Pleiadian in your life.
Never heard about Pleiadians, Syrians. It was the, like, who are they, right? I was like, who are these beings? I was like searching for them. It was brand new, like it's, I believe, the same thing happens to people who come into spirituality in the beginning. Like, there are different names like Syrian, High Council, or Pleiadians, or the, other beings, and Ra. And they're like, what is Ra, right? Like, yeah, that happened to me in the beginning. So right now, I'm accustomed to them, thankfully, because of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really great to watch it, because it's very clear, but it's very distinctly other beings, because it's not the way you speak, it's not your tone of voice. It's words put together that you had never heard these words being put together before. And I just find, yeah, just watching you, excuse me, watching you in the process is fascinating during the channeling. Perception. There's a perception that we are in a prison planet, that we are trapped here in this density. And I think that is, one narrative. But I'm speaking to it's one way of looking at it. But I'm speaking to the darker negative ET forces that had been pushing the planet into a negative timeline. Have the ones that have been in charge of that negativity, are they still actively here doing that? Have some of them left? Is there, what's your understanding of like the negative ETs that have been working very diligently to keep us repressed?
I think the negative beings, there are some, people who are working, there are some elites who are working for the negative beings as far as that channels. And they will try to like enter our planet into a negative timeline. They were trying to do that. But the thing is, the negative entities, because our planet is protected currently, no like alien species can directly come into our planet. So they cannot come into our planet directly. Okay? So they can only influence people in a human form. So they can soul swap. They can soul swap into a human being to work as a negative being to do their work. Okay, that can happen. And I don't think they have left the planet, because if they had left the planet, then you would have sensed totally different things happening in our planet, right? But we cannot sense that. So I believe they're still here. They're trying to, I believe, that's like they are saying that they left the planet. Maybe they want us to tone down our work we are doing, so we need to continue to do it even more. So I believe they're trying to distract us, maybe, from stopping us to do our work further in consciousness, and it's affecting them. And since we are changing our vibration, it's affecting them. It may be a strategy, like to say, okay, don't worry about it, the negative are out of here, so yeah, everything is fine, so you can go back to a normal life, and stop doing the work. I believe maybe that's what they are trying to do. But of course, we can see it's not that. Okay, it has not changed. So yeah, that's what I have noticed, definitely.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. It's good to get your perspective from what you have seen and learned, because I feel like there's a lot of conflicting narratives out there. And I guess everyone needs to basically, what's true for you. You have to live your own truth, and you can't get, no matter what has happened, if beings have left the planet, if they're still here, the job is the same, which is to surrender into oneness, practice loving yourself, practice loving others, and being the best person you can be, surrendering all of your old stuff for the new stuff. Well, let's go ahead and start to wrap it up. And I wanted to let people know how they can get a hold of you. Obviously, you've got a Patreon. Tell us about your Patreon account and what you do with that, and why it's beneficial for people to connect with you through Patreon.
Yeah, in Patreon, I share some of the stuff which we cannot share on YouTube, like about the V, about the things they're trying to manipulate us with.
The V. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those kind of stuff, I cannot put it on my YouTube, because they will like take it down, or they will delete the channel. And of course, I can see the videos are beneficial for people, even new people who find it may help them. So I need to save my channel instead of putting those type of content and risking it all, risking having my channel deleted because of one video about the V. Because I have had some of my friends had that happen. Okay, I have seen many people who have lost their channels because of that. So in order to do that, Patreon allows me to share whatever I want, it's just uncensored. And yeah, that's what it's just I don't have any tiers and stuff. I don't like tiers. There are some tiers in Patreons for, I don't
levels.
have that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
different levels.
There are no levels in mine. You can join at the minimum. You can watch everything at the minimum, because I don't want people to pay large sums of money for just watching the videos. I want it to be free. But because of YouTube, it was initially free, and they deleted 37 of my videos in the beginning. I was forced to open this, because it was like huge information, like 37 videos. It had been watched by almost almost 3 million people or stuff like that. It was just gone, okay, in a single day. And since then, I realized I need to separate this stuff over here, and this clean stuff gets to stay on YouTube, so I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And thanks for letting us know about what happened to you too. That's a bummer. That's really brutal. That talks about, you know, freedom of speech in America. That's for sure. And what, you know, what's free and what's not free. So then also you do past life readings for people, correct?
Yeah, I do past life sessions. I channel for them. Sometimes they want me to, ask. They may be facing some problems. Like once or twice, I have been contacted by people, who have been facing physical symptoms, and then I channel their higher self, and then, they try whatever they said, and they magically heal themselves, and that has happened many times. And yeah, it has happened. I've seen that, and yeah, that's what I do. Like past life sessions. Also, I do.
Can we ask you how long the sessions are for and what is the amount that you request for the sessions?
I don't request any fixed rate. It's I just give them the option. They can donate whatever they want. Yeah, that's how I do it. So no fixed rate. Yeah.
You're
Sometimes they yeah sometimes they donate $1. I do it. Sometimes they donate $100. I do it. It doesn't matter. It's up to them. It's like literally. I
what?
just yeah. That's what I do exactly. That's true.
That's blowing my mind. That
No,
it's
that
because that's exceedingly generous and
no, that's
that's very un-American. We would not do that in America. It's very,
really.
very generous of you to do that. Are you going to think you'll ever make a standard rate for people, or I guess you'll wait and see? Things will evolve, won't they? Why have you chosen it to do that? You can tell I'm just flabbergasted. Why have you chosen for it to just be an open donation?
Yeah, because sometimes I feel that some people are not like some people may not be rich enough to
Mhm.
maybe service. I wanted it to be like fully accessible. Okay, sometimes people donate $5, sometimes donate $2. I do it for them. Sometimes it's up to them. It's as per their living standard. I want to just help them. Okay, of course I cannot do it freely because I still need to pay for the internet, the editing software and stuff like that. But still, it helps me to cover up that expense. And people just donate whatever they are capable of. Okay, like depending on their life situation. I just want it to be accessible for more people. It's not like only for rich people. That would be very like in spiritual sense to I don't feel like
It would be
complete
very
strange,
what?
very bad in a
Oh,
spiritual sense to only like serve the rich. And it's like very like different kind of mindset. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because in the states, you'd have like a tier level. Again, it would be a tier level so that more it's accessible to people, but you wouldn't just be because in my mind, I would think, oh well, then you must just be channeling 24 hours a day because so many people must have reached out to you. You're very popular and you're only growing in popularity in terms of your channel. So I don't know how you would have time for yourself if you're being so generous.
Yeah, I have done almost like 4,000 past life sessions till now.
How long do
Yeah,
they go for? How long do you channel these for? Like however long they go. Like it could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour, whatever it is.
depends on the question. Like sometimes they take 10 minutes, sometimes they can be 20. Normally, like I just do maybe one or like two sessions or maybe three sessions in a day. That's it. I
Oh,
cannot do. I need to take rests also. And yeah. And I have noticed the messages I receive from past life sessions are also very helpful for, like the understanding of the person. And many times they respond, "Wow, this exactly, helped me to solve a certain problem or stuff like that." And I find it really thankful for my soul. Also, I feel really good that I was able to help them in that way.
are you currently with a huge backlog in terms of are you booked out to like March or how many do you have in a row waiting for you?
Yeah, I have almost like I think it's around 3,000 people who are on the list of waiting.
On the list.
Yeah.
And you're
So
doing
yeah,
3 a day.
almost 3 a day. Maximum. That's maximum. It depends on how I'm feeling, because sometimes I cannot channel like continuously because I need to keep up my physical body. So yeah, that's
What's the math on that? If you do if you had 3,000 and you do 3 a day, it's going to take 1,000 days for you to get through that list. So this is why people have price points, is because it's one of those things where people have to invest in what they're getting, and they need to invest in your energy. And this is just my 2 cents from my perspective. This is what you're going to be learning as somebody who's a spiritual teacher and a spiritual guide, is that you're going to have price points, and you're going to have other boundaries, because 1,000 days from now, the person at the bottom of that list is going to have forgotten what their question was. So it won't be relevant anymore. But anyhow, that's my 2 cents. We'll talk business another time. I don't want to. All right, so then let's talk about your final message to the people. What does your heart want to say to the people who are listening to this podcast, this conversation, this clip?
I would like to say, use your judgment and discernment, whenever you are listening to messages, or whenever you are getting messages or insights from someone or some being, always trust yourself. That's the first thing, because if you just blindly trust on someone, then there may be some problems, because when the person who you trust changes, or maybe the narrative changes, then you will not feel good. Okay, so firstly, trust your heart, and your heart will always be correct, because you'll feel it. So that's all I have to say.
That's great. Thank you, Sam. It's been a delight to meet you and get to know you. You are even more sweet and warm than I had imagined. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Would you be willing to come back on the show sometime?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. This has been a very special episode of Third Eye Salon. And I just wanted to take Sam's message here of, work through whatever you're going through and keep focused on the timeline you want. Let all the obstacles, all the challenges, the traumas, whatever they may be, use those as pivot points to go even deeper into oneness, deeper into love, deeper into the timeline that serves your highest good. So with that, we'll say good day, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you, everyone. Oh, and also click the subscribe button and join our channel. And also we have a Facebook group. We would love for you to join our Facebook group. All of Sam's info and my info is all below. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.